mātū. Ko ngā tino rangatiratanga iwi o nau Tireni. We announce in the cloak of cleanliness that we are the absolute sovereigns of this land, of Tireni. Ko tine te hui hui, I waitangi, I toke rau I te rārua, te kaumawaru, o ka tapako tahi mano waru rau, tōru te kaumārima. We have met, had our meetings, and have on this day in Waitangi announced in the year 1835, the 28th of October.
What we're doing is we're now heading up to the far north to Waitangi, to Te Marae, where the Declaration of Independence 1835 was signed by the leading chiefs of Northland. It was a contract between King William IV, who ruled most of he was the King of Scotland, Wales, England for nearly 50 years, and he acknowledged it with a 21-gun salute. They chose the flag. Here's the flag here. This flag represents what the chiefs signed.
E toru ngā mea, ngā mea nunui, e ki ana, te pai pera, whakapono, tūmanako, ko te mea nui, ko te aroha.
The colonial people who came and settled here, they've kind of taken over with their own laws and their own, and they've taken the land and resources off tangata whenua, when in actual fact they had an international treaty here, witnessed by the Americans, witnessed by the French with their ships out here. There was a 21-gun salute, there was the acknowledgement by King William IV, and there was the flag that was made up which identified the Wairua, the Ngahau e Whā, the Four Winds, and was allowed ships to sail into ports throughout the world because of the mana of King William IV. And I understand King William came over recently, and he didn't. He not only didn't turn up, he didn't acknowledge it at all.
That's right. I think, you know, we have a lot of people from all over the world now coming to this country, and I think the first and foremost, one of the first and foremost things they should do is induction into the 1835 Declaration of Independence. They should know about the 1835 Declaration of Independence. They should know about us as Maori people, but that's not the case. The government, actually more important to the government is how much money they bring into this country and how much they can spend in this country, and that's what's important government. But we believe that first and foremost, any immigrants that come into the country should know about the Treaty of Waitangi 1840 and the 1835 Declaration of Independence as a move forward, so that they can understand there are tangata whenua in this country. It really saddens me even with our relations of the Pacific Ocean, who actually now come here and they forget about us as people, as the Maori people. They forget about us as tangata whenua, and I think that's the fault of the government, who doesn't give them an opportunity to learn and be inducted into the Treaty of Waitangi and the 1835 Declaration of Independence, to learn about us as the tangata whenua.
ko mātu, ko ngā tino rangatiratanga iwi onu Tireni. I raro mai o hauraki, ko tinei te huihui. I waitangi I toke rau I te rā, rua te kau mā waru o ke topa ko tahi mano, waru rau, toru te kau mārena. Ka wakaputa I te rangatiratanga o tō mātou ake e wenua. Ka mea tia. Ka wakaputaia e mātai he wenua rangatira. Kia huaina ko te wakaminenga o ngā hapu o Tireni.
He Wakaputanga o te rangatiratanga o Tireni, the Declaration of Independence, is a grossly misunderstood history. And what most New Zealanders do not appreciate is that a group of New Zealanders in the 1830s declared this country to be independent and free from any international influences, and they committed themselves to establishing an organisation, a grouping called Te Wakaminenga o ngā hapu, that is the sacred college, the sacred grouping of tribal leaders at the time. And another part of the making of this declaration was that there were some significant Pākehā leaders here at the time, church people and sailors and so on, and they were also party to it. And so we can accurately say that this is the Declaration of Independence of New Zealanders. And at that day, in the 1830s, of course, most New Zealanders then were Maori. So I like to see it as a New Zealand Declaration of Independence, not just a Maori Declaration of Independence, because historically it was people of Tireni, and Tireni is one of the Maori forms of saying New Zealand. And so now that's a change of mind thinking on my part, because originally for many years in my research for my Masters and PhD and so on, I was thinking of the He Wakaputanga solely in terms of it's a Maori Declaration of Independence. But I've since revised my thinking. I thought, well, hold on, the language in there talks about Tireni and who were the Maori, who were the leaders in New Zealand at the time. They happened to be Maori, and there were Pākehā who were witnesses involved in the process. So that's a big change in mind in my thinking.
So, brother, just tell us a bit more about your whakaaro on the Wakaputanga, if you could.
Oh, right, yeah, no, I see it as like a living will. It's captured the moment of the whānau of their time, which was in 1835, and it's relatable to like our share of the company, which is what we're in at the moment. Okay, there's a company known as New Zealand, okay, but the country is actually known as Aotearoa. There's two different worlds here, and so Tireni is like Iraro mai ki Hauraki, which is as far south as Hauraki up. That was Tireni, and so they invited everybody else to come up, put aside their animosities, and to participate in helping protect us from the corporations that were coming. They saw a corporate wave coming across the ocean through the trade, and so they foresaw this for our benefits. And so what they did is they secured us a deal, like a trade agreement, which is it's like a 60-40 you talked about, or the 70-30 or 90. Really, it's up to us. We have this, and they gifted us with an authority, like a lawful authority, which is different to the existing New Zealand company at the moment, because that's de facto. It has no lawful authority. It's just presumed. We presume that they have authority, and they impose it, and that's how they create the presumption. You know, the cops turn up, surround you and stuff, and they put it on you and stuff, and then you get beaten down in here, sort of thing. And in here, they take your mauri, your wairua, and your hinanaro, and you presume that they have the authority. In actual fact, they don't. And, cheer, bro. Hey, cheer. How's things? Yeah, and Yeah, so that's all it is. But what they left for us was a rightful lawful authority. It's a founding document, and there's a difference between a law, statute, and an act. Everyone presumes that an act is law, but it's not. It's a bylaw. It's derived from law. But for it to come from law, it needs to come from one spot, like a seed, and that seed needs to be the Wakaputanga, or Te Rangatira, or Tireni 1835. Any other laws or acts, statutes or acts that don't derive from it, they actually do not exist. They don't apply to Maori.
If you asked me as a lawyer, can you go along to a court and say, I stand under the mana of the Wakaputanga, the judges will say, I stand under the mana of the crown on that emblem behind me, and I don't care about your Wakaputanga. So in that sense, the Wakaputanga doesn't count. There are many, many cases, I think about, 43 cases in recent years where people have said Wakaputanga is the beginning, and Maori sovereignty has never been ceded, and your tax laws don't apply to me, your Mariorana laws don't apply to me, your driver's license laws don't apply to me, your passport laws don't apply to me. On each occasion, the courts have said, we are going to apply them to you.
Just wanted to ask a couple of questions. I've had the opportunity to look at statute law in Westminster around the Declaration of Independence and the signing with King William IV, and it goes into the George Acts, and it specifically says that New Zealand is not a dominion of the United Kingdom, and it remains in statute law to this day. And I've been able to look at that by these people who have managed to source it over here, and in your view as a law person, do you think that a treaty can supersede a declaration within a period of 5 years without some sort of long-term annulment of the previous?
My view is that the treaty and the Wakaputanga are complementary. They both say the same thing. They both guarantee rangatiratanga. So the word rangatiratanga in Article 2 of the treaty is the same word as rangatiratanga in He Wakaputanga or the rangatiratanga or New Tireni. So it's the same word. And Henry Williams was at both events. So I think that the treaty doesn't supersede the Wakaputanga. The Crown lawyers at the tribunal hearing said exactly that, but the tribunal rejected that. So there are plenty of people that would strongly support the view that the treaty does not supersede the Wakaputanga.
Especially the Indigenous version. Are you able to tell me the relevance of He Wakaputanga? Do you think it's the founding document and founding constitution of New Zealand?
It's part of it, yes.
Part of it.
Part of it. The only difficulty in terms of the whole of New Zealand is that it was predominantly Te Aotearoa. It was signed by Te Wherewhere. It was signed by Te Hapuku. Kaununu.
So which takes us down to
so it covers some of the country.
Yes.
But to embrace everyone else, you need the treaty to go around the country. And so the starting point is Wakaputanga. Right. It gets confirmed in the treaty, and the treaty gets taken around the motu, and then you've got it all together.
I guess it's the recognition of the Indigenous version of Te Tiriti which will bring everything to light, as opposed to the treaty, which kind of distorts it and takes it away from the truth. And I heard, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, I heard that they waited 100 days after the Port Waikato signings. They turned it into English, then they sent it off to England.
Well, there were a whole lot of different versions that were sent to England, lots of different versions of the English. There's only one version of the Maori. Only the text of the Maori is the same everywhere. Yes. Each of the copies is the same.
Yes.
But there were quite a few different English copies. They weren't very precise on that.
So at the end of the day, it's got to go back to the Indigenous version, which was
that's the paramount version, because that's what was discussed. That was
yes.
what the language of the day.
That's right.
Yeah, and the law of the day, in fact, the tikana of the day.
Today, the 28th day of October, is no doubt the most important and auspicious date of the Maori calendar. We are here gathered together at Waitangi Te Tii to not only commemorate and remember the signing of the sacred covenant document of the Declaration of Independence of 1835, but also to resurrect, to reinstate and to reaffirm it to its former powerful, authoritative glory.
I understand it was documented in statute law in 10 Downing Street, and we found evidence of that just recently, where King William made solemnly swear that New Zealand was an independent country. Can another document, say like the Treaty of Waitangi, supersede the Declaration of Independence once it was made into English law? Is there a process that it had to go through?
I don't think there's any, there is no formal recognition by Britain, as when I looked at the archives on the He Wakaputanga, because that was, it didn't require it, because it was a fact, but it is registered as a declaration in some of the sort of official documentation of the time in Europe, you know.
Yes.
And it's just a recording that this event took place.
Yes.
And for this purpose. So there needs no legislation to give it effect. It's because it's a statement of fact. And I think the 28th of October, you'll watch that date grow.
Yes. Yes.
In significance, and once New Zealanders see it as the New Zealand Declaration of Independence, it's not, as I say, it's not the Maori Declaration of Independence, it's the New Zealand Declaration of Independence, then there is no threat historically.
Yes.
And therefore we all own it. Then you're free to remedy the wrongs of the past.
Yes.
And that's an ongoing thing, and that's why we have this court of inquiry called the Waitangi Tribunal.
Yes.
So I think that day will grow in significance. And it then means we look at the treaty day, the 6th of, say, February, in another light.
Yes.
But so the treaty is not a treaty of cession. It's a day to celebrate the opening up of New Zealand to other people who want to live here.
Yes.
According to Maori values.
Toi a mai te waka nei, kume a mai te waka nei. Ki te takoto rangai takoto ai, tiriti te mana motu hake, te tangi a te manu e, pipi wharauroa, kui kui kui, whiti whiti ora, ui e taiki e. Toi a mai te waka nei, kume a mai te waka nei. Ki te takoto ranga takoto ai, tiriti te mana.
Karangamai, karangamai, karangamai.
tēnei i roto i tēnei pito o te moka. Ia tau, he mohona, he kōreo nari ko tai ki te wā. Kia hoa kei te wairua.
Tōna mutunga, mā tātou rawa, e tutukia. E kota ia i ngā wakāwa i te kaupapa, e tutuki pai. O reira kei te pai, ia hoi kōrero maina.
Tēnei kete mau nei nei ngā taonga hua, hei apena tia i tātou, ko te rā tātou nei uri. Nō le rā, tūtau toko ana ngā mihi ko mihia, ko tau nei ai ngā manuhiri me ki ngā mātāwa ko te motu.
Technical things, you can even see us in the dark.
Right?
Yes, now I am.
I don't like saying the Declaration of Independence, but I say the whakaputanga o te tino rangatiratanga o ngā hapu o New Tireni. And it's a document that my tupuna signed, his name was Tareha, and he never signed the treaty. Or had any, he didn't, he disliked the treaty. But, we believe in our sovereign rights.
So what it's about with the treaty is about the truth. And the He Wakaputanga is the truth. Mm-hmm. So it's about finding where the truth is in each document. So where the government has always pushed kawanatanga, tino rangatiratanga, that was a sidetrack issue. Mm-hmm. Because the truth of sovereignty is not in either word. Mm-hmm. Because when you look into the Declaration of Independence in the second article, it says ko te kingitanga, ko te mana i te whenua. Mm-hmm. And the translation, all sovereign power and authority, which King William sanctioned through his authority, through the covenant of God, through the paipera tapu. So if you try and change it, or even Maori try and move it to where they want, they're breaching their own tapu laws, because that's the authority that's given, comes through the word. So the kingitanga held that that kupu, declared when they united their signatures in the declaration, what they were doing was joining the lands under the kingdom. Then it took to 1858 to where the northern chiefs who went to Pukawa and the Kahanunu, Fatui Apati, and where they put their mana to it to raise a king. Then the world could recognise here that Māoridom were under their own.
It seems to be gathering momentum, and a lot of people are coming on board with the idea that there was actually a declaration made in 1835, but a lot of New Zealanders aren't aware of it because it seems to be kept secret. It seems to be kept very quiet on the low. They celebrate it here every year, and then every year comes and goes. There's no politicians around the declaration, but apparently around the treaty time, they're here in droves. So, right. I mean, from what I understand, the Treaty of Waitangi was never ratified. It never given a 21-gun salute. It had no power and authority. It was sort of brought here by a company that was financed by a very rich organisation. So, in a way, a lot of New Zealanders have been duped, Pākehā and Māori.
Absolutely. And, I talk to people from all walks of life all the time, and it's amazing pretty much nobody knows about He Wakaputanga 1835. I have a good friend who's a retired lawyer, and I was talking to him about it years ago, and he's going, "What's that?" He goes, "I never heard of that." I go, "They didn't teach you that in law school?" He goes, "No, everything started with the treaty."
That's right, that's right.
So,
yes.
so it's I see it as an educational process. So, and another thing I'd like to say about it is there's a lot of people, I start talking to people about it, and they go, "Oh, it's that Maori sovereignty, they want everything." I go, "Look, I'm an old Chicago boy. I wouldn't be in the middle of this. I've had nothing but respect and been treated with honor by these people here, and been taken in as family, whānau, and I think it's a very good thing, and I think as people understand more what it is, once you get the simple understanding across to people, everybody understands it, because everybody wants their self-determination.
We look down there, you've got your car there with your own number plates under Maori law or under tino rangatiratanga, under the Declaration of Independence. You're getting targeted by the police for that. Where does it go from here? How do we get them to recognise New Zealand's founding document?
Yeah, one of the major reasons why we are in troubles is again coming back to education. People don't understand Declaration of Independence, they don't understand international law, which is for our favor, like United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, Geneva Convention about slavery and so on. People need to know those things and protect themselves. Also legislation New Zealand government put together is designed to protect us, but they don't run it properly. So I'm not against government as such, but I am against those people who are abusing their positions and not actually fulfilling their duties in the office, including judges, including police officers, including MPs and so on. So we need to educate people, and when you are knowing who you are, where you are standing on your land, they are powerless.
And I understand because the Declaration of Independence of 1835 is in international law, ignorance of the law is not tolerated. So what these people are doing is going around, possibly some of the judges, police, councils, that sort of thing. They're actually utilising a law that's a de facto, and they're actually in breach of Maori customary law, which is supposed to be the true law in this country. And we have such a beautiful country here, beautiful weather, we have beautiful people here, but obviously the indigenous people are being targeted by these corporations and these companies and settler governments, say, and they're ignoring the true law of the land. Do you think that's what they're doing?
Of course, because never ever New Zealand government passed any law. They are reading and passing bills, acts, regulations, rules, never law. They have no authority to make any law. They are no better than McDonald's or Caltex or whoever. They are just another corporation registered in New York Security and Exchange Commission.
Thank you for that.
What about the fact that the Declaration of Independence of 1835 still remains in statute law in 10 Downing Street? I've seen the evidence of that.
Yes, I mean,
can the treaty supersede an international document?
Well, the general argument is that the Treaty of Waitangi did that.
It superseded the declaration.
You may remember that Hobson was specifically tasked with that, to make sure that He Wakaputanga was negated, yes, and he did. So he never. One of my major complaints, which we've been making to the tribunal, is that the northern signatories were not fully informed.
No.
And you can't say that that what they participated in was on the basis of fully informed consent.
What these flags and the Wakaputanga means to you?
Oh, it's a big question there, eh? Well, that flag there is, I whakapapa to that flag.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, my tupuna, he put some black in there, and then he was one of the fellas who presented the 3 flags.
Nice.
To be chosen for a whakaputanga, and they chose that one.
That's amazing. So we've actually got people who whakapapa through to that flag. So I've heard things about that.
And I'd like to, I think this is an important part of our identity, He Wakaputanga, and it's been left out.
It definitely has.
So we're here to just tautoko.
We just want to get a little bit of kōrero from our wahine toa here on what the Declaration of Independence 1835 means to you.
Well, first of all, it was the first flag that flew here in Aotearoa, and it represents our Maori nation and our sovereignty, and it was signed in 1835, and it was internationally recognised and gazetted as well in 1834, and it represents who we are as a people, which represents our freedom on our whenua, and everything outside of our Wakaputanga 1835 is corrupt and illegal, and we've lived subjugated to a corporate servants for about 178 years, and they haven't honoured who we are as a people, and they still choose to this day to ignore our sovereignty.
We've come across one of the knowledgeable brothers here, and he's going to give his whakaaro on things and what he thinks about Wakaputanga.
Oh, che, kia ora, bro. I'm more and we've always been true believers ever since we picked up the kaupapa. Brother here should know, Ben. And it was the truth that's been hidden from our people for so long. And the taumata and all that's always been wanting to get the word out about the true power that every hapu actually does have in their own rohi. And well, you couldn't get half the politicians to do it because they got too much to lose if they, if their bosses turned them down, But so we gathered up as many Maoris as we can that would push this kaupapa to every tribe throughout the motu, and just to let them all know that they're the true crown of their rohi, not the clowns they're trying to make out to be a crown, I mean, when you really look at it, bro, when you understand the whakapapa kōrero of the Wakaputanga, bro, we're all hereditary owners to the coat of arms of this country, where somebody's using the crown to empower themselves, when really that true crown is actually our tupunas who signed the Wakaputanga. And our tupuna didn't sign for themselves, they signed for their whānaus and their hapu. So their autonomy belonged to their whānau and hapu, which is tribal anywhere throughout the motu, no matter which part of the motu, that's how every tribe ran, and letting our people know that kind of thing, and they can practice their own tino rangatiratanga in their own homelands if they want to move home, and they have so many obstacles with that clown has been put into the people, if they have then this is a way they can help them, their own people want to move home and be self-sufficient or whatever they want to do. It's about empowering the tribe to actually be the true mana of their rohi, and all that kind of thing.
From what I understand, it's about hapu coming together, putting the animosities aside.
Walking the talk of the Wakaputanga, bro. And that's what that is always about. We're not grass-cut savages that like to beat up just because we're getting drunk and all that. We're actually the true owners, and that's walking this talk is what this is all about. You know, they reckon there's a lot of our people that couldn't come together, like in religions or gangs and all that. And bro, year after year, I've seen them all stand in the same place and hungi each other and even come to a common agreement that we all do agree with. And when we're talking about the future of our mokos, we all did agree.
Kua muturanga mihi e, kua muturanga korero, kua takoto te kaupapa ma koutou e kohi kohi kia orara, haere hoki tātou e hoa mā. Ina kia uki uta, ka nui tēnei kua tutuki, ka tinoa hei koneira pupuritia, 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 pupuritia.
Now, do you think that the Declaration of Independence 1835 has been honoured? Do you think they're honouring it by accepting that the indigenous people retain their lands, their sovereignty over their lands and over their governing of themselves? Do you think that the British Crown is actually doing that since the signing?
No, I don't think they have. I think they have forgotten about us. You know, Prince William came not very long ago. Prince Charles came not very long ago. They didn't even make any effort to come here, and they covered the country. They walked the country. They were invited to other organisations, other areas, but they didn't come here. And yet, this place was significant to them, rather to anybody else. It was the place where we believe that a true agreement was made between us and their descendants, which was King William. And so we were disappointed about that. So I believe that signifies to me that they've forgotten about it. It doesn't mean anything to them anymore. We are here to establish the Wakaputanga before we go home, because this is what we've been talking about for nearly 20 years now. We are here to establish the Wakaputanga. How are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? Because that's very important to all of us. If we don't establish it today, there's another year coming up, and so on, and so on, and so on. We can talk whakapapa all day. We can talk whakapapa all night, how we tie into one another. But the fact of the matter is, the Wakaputanga, the wakaminenga, is the day that we should be discussing. That's what we should be doing. How we can establish that before we go home. If we're going to it is now 2 o'clock. It is 2 o'clock. We've been hui for about 3 days now, and we've talked about Wakaputanga, but it disappears into the sunset. And suddenly we're talking hakapapa, how we tie into one another. Of course we can tie into one another, but it's important for us today. We got a few hours left. Are we going together? Another wakaminenga, another wakaputanga, one thing. Because I tell you something, some of the people got the wakaputanga somewhere else in his rohe. Some in Hokianga got this. Some got others this. And we all wear different waka. And each one got their own way of doing things. But we need to come back. That wasn't the dream of our old people. The old people want us to be like them. They were all together with the Wakaputanga. Narina, Tatu Tina, Bruce,
we turned it around under tikana Maori because that is the highest law in the whole 75 nations. This is where we have to pick up these laws that belong to us, our customary law, our tikana. Yes. Come together. I know I can hear it. I can hear it, it's just going like this. That's hurtful. It's my first year here. Yeah, and I'm quite hurt because we can't seem to come together. My koro was taught that you're not going to unite the people just like that. What he was told was go home and unite your land. Then the people are going to come.
Ati he Maori ora, ati he Maori ora, ahui e taigi e kia ora ra. Ngā ropu rangatahi, te toko hianga mahi, hei honoretanga ki te ao. Haere mai e ngā iwi, Mauria mai ra te awhina. Ka tū te ihi, ka tū te wana wana, hei honoretanga ki te ao. Ati he Māori ora, ati he Māori ora, ahui e taiki e kia ora ra. Ngā ropu rangatahi, te
What does the Declaration of Independence of 1835, He Wakaputanga, mean to you? Have you heard of it?
Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence, 1835.
Is this in New Zealand?
This is in New Zealand.
I've heard of it.
It's the biggest kept secret. It's the biggest kept secret in New Zealand.
Isn't that the one that the Maori in the Oh, that's a treaty. That's the treaty.
Treaty of Waitangi was...
Declaration of Independence. This rings a bell.
That came after. The Treaty of Waitangi came after. It was never ratified and was never given a 21-gun salute. And it was never given royal ascension from King William IV. So, I'll ask you one more time. Have you heard of the Declaration of Independence of 1835?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
Yes,
but I
no?
don't know about it.
You don't know about it?
Yeah.
Okay, well we're trying to do a documentary where we can show people and talk to people about
Wait, can you tell me who did it?
It was signed by the leading chiefs of the far north.
Like, one in particular?
Kawiti,
yeah.
Aotearoa, some very powerful chiefs, rangatira,
Oh, yeah.
and Te Whirawhiro, the Maori king,
Uh-huh.
he signed it, and Hapuku of Kahungunu, he signed it. So,
my dad will know
so the
that.
eastern
Yeah.
tribes from down there came up and signed it as well. In the middle of the, and they also invited all the other chiefs from all around New Zealand to come and sign it. I think then in 1840 they brought the Treaty of Waitangi.
Oh, yeah.
So there you go. There's a little bit of history for you.
As I understand it to be, as a United Tribes, in Aroha mai, if I haven't, I don't really know very much about it because we've only been taught about the treaty, really. But more information, the better, you know. But from what I understand, it was the standing sort of agreement that predates the Treaty of Waitangi.
Fantastic. That's exactly what I'm wanting to hear, actually.
Yeah.
So, ka pai to that.
Kia ora.
Kia ora koutou. So basically what he's saying here, it is the founding documents of Aotearoa New Tireni. It was signed before the Treaty of Waitangi. It was given a 21-gun salute. It was given royal ascension by King William IV, and it was signed by a leading rangatira from the far north here. So, kia ora, fantastic, brother. Thank you for your time. If you know anything about this particular flag.
I would say that's the marriage flag, I think.
Oh, okay.
Around about the treaty time.
Round about the treaty time.
I think it is.
Okay. Yes. You're very close, actually. It's the 1835 Declaration of Independence flag.
Oh, is it?
Is what they call the He Wakaputanga, that was signed by King William IV, or not signed, but heralded and acknowledged by King William IV. and signed by the leading chiefs around this area here in Paihia and Waitangi. So,
I wasn't too far wrong.
and today's the date, 28th of October.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you were pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm just wondering whether you know anything about this flag.
That's the United Tribes of New Zealand flag.
United
my
Tribes.
knowledge.
Okay. Yes. And what does it signify?
I don't actually know what it signifies, to be honest. All I know is that from what I learned in school, it's basically all of the tribes before, when the Treaty of Waitangi was signed, that's what all the Maori tribes wanted as their flag to represent New Zealand rather than
that's true.
the Union Jack, what we currently have.
Wonderful. That's pretty close. It's actually it was the flag from 1834 onwards, and it signifies the He Wakaputanga, which is the Declaration of Independence signed by King William IV.
Okay.
And this is the flag they flew on their ships around the world. It wasn't just a trading flag. It was actually a flag of independence.
Okay.
So there you go. But thank you very much for your time.
Toro mai toringa kia hariru tia toringa yafi pono yafi taku tingana Aue aue te aroha ki ara toma Aue aue te aroha ngā uwhakaroto nei Hiki tia e ngā iwi ki a rewa ki runga ngā taonga ngā matua kua ngaro ki te pō Aue, aue te aroha ki a rātauma Aue, aue te aroha ngā uwhakaroto nei
Tēnā koutou e ngā mana ki runga e ngā ii O tamanui te rā me ngā tua o te pō me te ao marama Nō reira, e ai o, ki te rangi ngā tūpuna, ki te katoa, tēnei wāhi tapu o te rāwā, where our tūpuna stood in the day, on this exact site, October the 28th, 2014. Henceforth, we now come and finish the unfinished business that they began in 1835. He Wakaputanga lives forever. Nō reira, mai marire, mō ake tonu atu.
We've just left Paihia, Waitangi, Titi, Marae. We've done a lot of filming, a lot of footage. Pretty tired and worn down, but it's been a wonderful experience. And we've had some beautiful meals. We've captured some of the problems that have come with people trying to free their country, and met some absolutely wonderful, interesting people that have just been so amazing. So we're heading back now to Auckland. It's been a long 3 days. We've got lots of footage, and I'm hoping that you're going to enjoy this documentary here in Aotearoa, Tireni, aka New Zealand, and let's hope this brings a bit of a clearer picture of where the indigenous people from this country are actually coming from, and their mindset, and the disillusionment that they've had with a crooked crown, a government that's placed themselves over top of them, over top of their laws, over top of their independence flag. It's just been such a mind opener. I'm just so amazed coming away from this place, and it's only the second time I've ever been up this way, and it's just been absolutely awesome. The people we've met, the experiences, we've been welcomed on the marae. They've fed us. We've had accommodation there, it's just been such a beautiful experience. So I'm just feeling like I'm a new person. So, thank you.